Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The Select Board's called to order April 24th, 2025 at 4:30 p.m. We're going to be going into executive session per MRSA 1 subsection 405-6E for consultation with the town attorney to discuss legal rights and duties. So can I have a motion to go?
I move that we enter into executive session as stated.
Second.
First and second, all in favor? We're in executive session.
I think Memorial Day.
So it's before that anyways.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to be coming out of, we are coming out of executive session. There was no decisions made. And I don't need a vote for that, right? No. So would you all please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, item number 4, approve the April 10th, 2025 Select Board meeting.
So moved?
Second?
First, second, any discussion? Everything all set? All in favor? 5-0.
Alan, is your microphone on?
I don't know.
Yep.
Hear you loud and clear.
Okay.
Public forum, this is an opportunity for anyone who wants to address the Board of Selectmen with any issues that are not on the agenda.
Good.
Come right up, state your name and where you're from.
Maureen, Wildwood, Summers, Wildwood Avenue in the Goose Rocks section. I was here a couple weeks ago, and we had a very nice conversation with everyone. And my concern, when I came and addressed you a couple of weeks ago, was regarding the Tides Beach Club and KRC with regards to the non-conforming use of the beach, and specifically within the reserve area, and the fact that the beach tenders were performing a business on the beach.
Yeah, can we hold for just one
Yeah,
second, because
one
I can't
second.
hear you?
Okay, so I had discussed basically, just synopsis here, I know there's a lot of people here today, was that basically with the employment of the beach tenders, each time those beach tenders were taking the beach chairs and the beach equipment and placing them on the beach, they were performing a business on the beach, a commercial use of the beach, and therefore they were also placing chairs outside of the reserve area, outside of the 25-foot zone. And so I was comparing that to brick and mortar type of business. I also brought up the fact that guests staying at the Tides and reciprocity use at Hidden Pond pay a resort fee of anywhere from $40 to $75 per day, and advertised and inside that resort fee, they also include use of stand-up paddleboard, a rental, 2.5-hour rental, stand-up paddleboard, kayak, and watercraft. And the fact that they're taking those watercraft across the public beach, placing the guests inside the watercraft, putting on their life jackets, helping them with the oars, all of that, they were performing a business outside of the beach, outside of the reserve area. And I didn't feel that the reserve area is a place for the commercial business. So that's kind of what we talked about. We talked about the amount of chairs that were there, that there's 21 rooms, and there's close to 200 chairs on the beach, all stored in the reserve area. There are not only the paddleboards and the watercraft, but there's the chairs, the umbrellas, the tables, all of those things. So kind of brought that up. We had a discussion that we can't really discuss it, but I just wanted to kind of bring it to everybody's attention that that was one of the things that we had talked about. After that discussion, a couple neighbors had seen the video and had talked to me about what they saw. And I was reminded, and it was brought up to my attention, that the beach use agreement and the beach use ordinance, the beach use agreement, was devised with permissive use, and there's a difference between permissive use and exclusive use. And I went back and I reviewed the beach use ordinance and agreement, and it says, Section 4, use of premises. The town, backlot owners, and their respective invitees, designees, including members of the general public, shall have the right to use the reserve area for active or passive recreational and recreational purposes. And in that document, it includes sunbathing as one of those areas. In 4A, beachfront owners desiring exclusive use of the reserve area shall be appropriate means identified in the beach use ordinance or otherwise determined by the Beach Advisory Committee or any successor to said committee, indicate that for any given day or time of day or such a reasonable time period, okay, a reasonable time period, that's what it says, designated by the beachfront owner, such reserve area is reserved for the exclusive use of the beachfront owner. So the way in which they had interpreted it and I had interpreted it was that if you're using an exclusive use, you're supposed to say, okay, I'm having a party here on July 10th, and I'm going to have my guests down here. So between the hours of 8 and 4, we're going to be in this area, so please sit somewhere else. Because you have permissive use. Anyone of the public has permissive use of that area. My question is, for clarity, is a reasonable time period considered May 1st to October 15th of when the tides is open, and all day from when they open to when they close, that they have exclusive use? And I just wanted to bring that up. I'm looking for some clarity on that. I think some of us were confused, because if you do have exclusive use like that, when you have exclusive use, according to the way it's interpreted with the beach use agreement, you can also have alcohol in your reserve area when you have exclusive use. So if you were having the party and your friends were coming down, you could drink, right? It's okay, no problem, not a problem. But if we're using this area exclusive all the time, and there's no permissive use, that may be an issue for people moving forward. It could be a problem for, I don't know, another signer of the beach use agreement that says, you know what, I've got this 25 feet here of my private beach. Bring your watercraft here and bring it all here, and if you want to rent out the watercraft, just give me like, I don't know, 20 grand, and you can run your business right here on my private beach. There doesn't seem to be a delineation between commercial and private homeowners. And when I do look at that, I don't think that the beach use agreement was developed in that way for exclusive use the entire season. And so I'm just looking for a little clarification. The Tides has always been a very good neighbor. I haven't had problems with that. It's just the amount of chairs and the beach tenders and the fact that it's continuing to go further and further down the beach. And I did get a nice response from you, Mr. Dykstra, explaining that the Tides Beach Club would keep 15 feet from the shoreline free of their chairs. So, okay, I didn't know that was an agreement, but then when I went back, as I was told from yet another neighbor, to review the video from the Beach Advisory Committee meeting in August of 2024, one of the neighbors came forward when that was brought up in that August meeting, and they had photographs that they provided during that meeting that showed that there were beach chairs and beach umbrellas and beach tables there in the waterway, in the shoreline. So they weren't complying to the things of the non-complying use, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So it just seems like there's another layer of an onion. Every time we kind of get to one onion, one layer, there's another layer that we peel back. And it was nice when there were 30 chairs and, you know, nobody was bothering anybody, but it's getting to the point where it's overwhelming with a couple hundred chairs, and it's impacting other people and, you know, locals that are there. And, you know, there's been instances, the police have been called because now they can bring their pets to the resort, and they're bringing the pets to the beach, and they're saying that they're emotional support animals, and emotional support animals are different than service dogs.
Yeah, they don't
So-
have to allow them.
No, I'm saying on the beach, because they were called a couple instances where the police told them that they could keep their dog on the beach.
That has
So-
been rectified.
Yes, yay, I like that, thank you so much. So anyway, I thank you for your time, I just wanted
So,
to bring that up.
Maureen, I have
in
a quick
public
question
forum.
for you.
Sure.
So when you see, you talked about what you saw about the paddle boards. So can you give me a sense about how many paddle boards did you see and, you
I
know?
think there's some photographs that were sent to you guys. There were a number of paddle boards, probably, half, 3 or 4, and then another 3 or 4 other watercraft, which would be considered kayaks and a canoe maybe.
A Tides Beach employee was assisting them in the water with jackets?
Yes,
and
assisting
getting
them in the
on
water. I
board?
believe there was a video that was sent to you guys as well. You may or may not have seen. So you can actually see there's been stuff sent to you guys, I know, that shows the employees actually placing the umbrellas outside of the 25-foot zone. I mean, in my opinion, I don't believe that they should have exclusive use, that we all should be able to sit there if it's permissive use, but,
Well, you can,
well, you,
that is permissive use.
but it's giving the illusion right now that it is set up to be exclusive use, and there is no delineation of where that 25-foot
We can't
zone
hear
is.
the lady speaking. Can you please be quiet a little bit?
So just so people know, there's chairs over here.
There's chairs over here, folks.
There's chairs up front, over here. Right
So
over
can
here.
Over
I,
here.
can I just intervene just a second?
Sure,
So we talked about this a couple of weeks ago.
Yes.
And we did say that we were going to be meeting with the Tides Inn. We haven't had a chance to do that yet but we're going to be doing it soon, I hope. And I could probably give you a lot better answers when we do after we meet with them.
I appreciate that, I appreciate
mean-
that. And like I said, they're good neighbors, I'm not going off on that, I'm just saying that it's getting to the point where it's just overrun.
Yeah. We have all that information that you gave us last week, 2
Perfect.
weeks ago.
Thank
And
you.
we appreciate that.
Thank you so
And we
much.
will get back with you on this, just
I
as soon as we
appreciate
meet with the Tides.
That would be great, because it's
If
been.
they'll meet with us.
No, I'm sure they will, I'm sure they will, they've been a good neighbor, but this has been going on this will be the 4th season since it's been brought to the attention, and we're very frustrated, as you heard from me last week. There's a number of people here tonight, I'm sure, that can also agree that there is a high level of frustration in not getting a clear understanding.
Yep.
So, and as I said, it's an onion. Every time we pull back one layer, there's another one. Like, I didn't realize that there was the permissive use versus exclusive use. So that's another layer. So I just want to bring it to your attention, just so it's more for you to go to the table with, that you can share that this was what the public is saying as well. That's all. Because we all want to work together, right? We all
Right, we all
want to sit in
have-
peace and harmony and,
Right.
you know,
We're all about that.
Someday.
that's right, that's right.
Well,
All right,
thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Maureen.
Is there anybody else?
Hi there. My name's David Nesher. I live in Kennebunkport, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak with all of you tonight. I'm a realtor with Maritime Realty, a small family-owned agency that has served Goose Rocks Beach homeowners and renters for many years. Over the past few weeks, a number of our clients have contacted us concerned about the new short-term rental inspection requirements that smoke alarms must be interconnected and that every bedroom meet the 2021 International Residential Code egress standard. Let me be clear, safety must never be compromised. I share Mr. Bancroft's view expressed at your April 10th meeting that occupant and first responder safety is paramount. At the same time, I share Ms. Gilbert's concern that the process and communication surrounding this requirement have been insufficient, leaving homeowners confused about a mandate that could cost them tens of thousands of dollars. Homeowners deserve clarification on 2 key points. Grandfathering versus rentals. Why are owner-occupied residences grandfathered from the new egress rules while short-term rentals must comply within a year of inspection? If an egress standard protects life safety, shouldn't it apply consistently? Selective use of the IRC. Code enforcement appears to be applying only portions of the 2021 IRC. On what legal basis is that selective adoption made, and what precedent does it set for future code interpretations? My colleague Susan Hill and I served on the town's short-term rental committee in 2018, which drafted Chapter 129 of the town's general ordinance. Section 129-1 states that the ordinance aims to preserve neighborhoods and protect property owners, renters, and neighbors through modest performance standards. Requiring sudden, expensive structural changes without clear outreach, timeline, or guidance conflicts with that intent. Therefore, I respectfully request that the board re-examine the inspection requirement and direct code enforcement to provide written guidance and a realistic compliance timeline. Thank you for your time and your service to the town.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Lori, could you have the team look at that and get back to us on it, just to see what you find out? Sure. Thank you. Anybody else?
Hi, Fred Stafford, Kings Highway. First of all, I'd like to say I support everything Maureen was talking about, and that's been an ongoing problem for a long time, and I think most of the residents at Goose Rocks Beach, especially people that are impacted by that area, are becoming very frustrated because this has been an issue for several years now, and all we keep hearing is, we're gonna talk to the tides, we're gonna talk to the tides, and nothing happens. All right?
Sir, we have talked to the Tide several times.
So what happened?
And we're trying to work with them, and it's a work in progress, that's all I can say, and we're doing the best we can. And we know all your concerns, and we want to try to address them all, and we will, but we need to meet with the Tides again this spring, and I'm hoping that they will meet with us so we can sit down and talk about this.
I don't understand why that is such a
Well, they have rights
impossibility.
that we can't tell them.
Well, what are those? I don't, if we knew what the rights were, I think it would be easier for us to accept it.
Well, they have that 25 feet.
That's fine. But they're not in their 25 feet. In fact, half
Well,
the
see,
time,
that-
their
that-
chairs are way out and there's a big
That's
gap
where
there.
we're going to, that's the issue we're going to.
Okay, well, why isn't that a cut and dry issue? I mean, that to me, it's 25 feet, it's 25 feet. It's not to the water line.
I think sometimes the occupants themselves take the chairs and move them.
They set them up in the morning. They set them up in the morning down there. I have pictures of
Right
that.
down to the water?
Right, in fact, if I could,
It's not.
these are the pictures that I took that Maureen was referring to on July 27th, so you can see how far away from the edge of the water those things, the umbrellas are all in the water. And then the second one, there are even a couple of paddle boards of theirs just sitting there. Okay, and this was on a particularly, I know you've been disturbed by them before. You know? So anyway.
So I think we can say that it is very helpful when you come and speak, in these sessions, and, likewise with Ms. Summers and others, because I know that members from the Tides are here, and when we go into these sessions with them, we are speaking with residents' concerns and voices. So we are getting close to setting up the next meeting with them to talk through these issues. We have not been able to get to a reasonable conclusion between what the town would like to see and what the Tides is able to give us. We're still in negotiations, and I know there's frustration, and I'm hoping, I hope with all hopes, given that Tides is in this room, that they're hearing our residents and that they understand some of the angst that we're bringing to our conversations, and we can finally, for once and for all, get to a conclusion that's reasonable between the town, the residents, and a business that occupies down in Goose Rocks Beach.
Yeah, and I must take some issue, Fred, with your statement that nothing's happened. I don't believe that is really accurate. Last year was the first year we had what I think was a very constructive agreement with the Tides, that we maintained the east-west boundary of where those chairs were placed. I think for the most part, they have done an excellent job with that. We do work on that 15 feet, but the tide rises. And so on a rising tide, sometimes the guys will get caught. They don't pick up the chairs fast enough and bring them back. It's not a perfect system. They're not serving the public at all outside of the of their reserved area. That was another agreement, and I believe they have maintained that. They've educated their There's personnel on the beach, and it is personnel on the beach, so I understand what Maureen's saying, and she's not wrong. But they have had an education program to be sure they know the rules and try to follow them. And they only put out the chairs when they're requested. They're not put out in the morning.
That's not
first
true.
thing. Last year?
That's not true.
Last
Yes,
year?
yes.
Yeah, no, I can say that when we get to the meeting that we're gonna have with them, that they have, to John's point, they have taken a good step forward in some areas. It's a work in
It's not
process.
perfect.
It's not perfect yet, and that we hope to get to the table again with them, talk about what we've seen over this past year of where the shortfalls were, and then reach agreement on the issues that are still outstanding with them that we have not been able to close with. And I think that's the frustration that you see from this board, is that we finally want to get to some closure with them.
Well, when I say nothing's happened, that's the impression of the general public, I
Yeah.
think.
That's
No,
fair.
I don't think
I
anybody
that
will
is-
dispute
I
that.
think-
Been
You
small
might be doing
steps.
things, but we don't know what you're doing except talking to them.
Yeah.
And if there are rules, well, let's enforce the rules.
Yeah.
You know, is it their 25 feet or is it all the way to the low water mark? Can anybody tell me that? What do they have rights to?
They are signers of the beach use agreement. So they have access to that,
25 feet.
no, they have access below it as well. So that's just.
Well,
the
is it
fact.
access or
So
is it
I think they,
exclusive use?
yeah, so they
That's
have
that-
the,
It's not exclusive use.
Well, it's set up, that's
No
the
one-
point, though.
they
It's
have
set
never
up
said it.
as,
They have never, they do not, no, they have in the past, I know, asked people not to sit there. That was wrong. And they understand that, and I hope that didn't happen last year. If someone can give me evidence that that happened last year, I'd like to hear it. If someone can tell me that they were told they couldn't sit there, then that's an infraction, and we need to hear that. Because that was not our agreement with them.
well, the thing is, the way it's set up, it looks like it's an exclusive use because all the chairs are there. The seaweed is raked off to the sides. They don't want it on that part, but they don't mind dumping it where other people are gonna sit, and it creates this barrier.
Yeah.
And so there are times when you'll see all of their chairs close to the beach, and there's probably a good 50 feet of empty space behind them.
Yeah.
And people don't go there because they're probably trying to be respectful, thinking they're not allowed there, you know? So,
so I think with some of the things that we have said, you know, so why have things not been communicated, like the items that John brought up, is because we haven't reached final agreement.
well, I mean, that's
So-
the
so there are-
frustration. How many
right.
years is it supposed to take?
Hopefully we're,
You know?
hopefully, so the good news about what's happening right now, to me, is that the Tides is in this room, the representative, and is hearing not just from our voices, but from our residents standing up and speaking. So I think that this is a very good thing that's happening right now, and we hope to take this energy to our meeting, to be able to make sure that they heard exactly what you're saying. And I do think, you know, so that's what we're hoping to do. We're hoping to close out on the agreement with the final things that we still have open, and to try to put this eventually to rest. And, you know, to be clear, as what we have stated and Maureen has stated, you know, for everybody in this room, because there's a lot of beach people in here tonight, for everybody in this room, they are a beach use signer. That means beyond the 25 feet, it's public access. So, you know, I understand having yellow chair set up might defer somebody, but that is a public beach. And you have rights to go and access that portion of the beach. And I just want to make sure that everyone is clear on that fact, because that is a fact, and as Maureen and others have pointed out.
Okay, so while we're on the topic, the other problem is that we're not just talking about the tides, because they take all the people from Hidden Pond down there as well. And that's where the multiple number of chairs comes from. In fact, I'm glad you didn't ask, but I'll read it anyway. On the Hidden Pond website, it says, under activities, a day at the beach. We've got everything you need, lounge chairs, water and sunscreen, just bring your suit. So that to me is promoting that area on the beach that is supposed to be exclusive to the tides, but they're inviting everybody from Hidden Pond for a resort fee to come use that. So that's why there's so many chairs there. The Tides only has, what, 21 rooms?
Yep.
And Hidden Pond has about 30 cabins. So, you know, That's where the frustration comes in.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you showed up, and I'm glad you brought this to our
Now you'd
attention.
like me to
We've
leave?
known about some of this already, and we are gonna try to see if we can get a meeting with the Tides in very, very soon. Hopefully that they'll meet with us.
Okay, thank you. That actually wasn't what I wanted to talk about, so I have one more quick thing I would like to talk. And this has to do with potentially saving money. It's probably not a big amount of money, but I'm curious as to why do we spend the money to trim the weeds on the sides of the road throughout Kennebunkport every summer? That seems like an awful waste to me, especially when it's little flowers and wild flowers and things that bees and birds or whatever else could use. Why do we spend the money to do that?
So you're talking about when we mow the sides of the roads?
Yeah.
Well, our Public Works Director's right here, and he's going to talk to you about drainage.
Yep.
Just really quick, for people standing up, there's
There
chairs
are
over
chairs.
here.
There are
If you,
4 or
wanna
5
sit.
chairs here if you wish.
Yes, so the reason for roadside
Eric,
mowing,
Eric, into the microphone.
not close enough, is this better? Sorry. So the reason for the roadside mowing is really for the maintenance of the road, to be able to make sure that the drainage comes off the road. It's still not loud enough.
Still not
My
loud.
apologies.
There's other people talking in the room.
Okay.
Yeah, could
Very
you
good.
guys in the back kind of chill it?
Yeah, so the infrastructure that we take care of on the side of the roads is really to maintain the road, the assets that we have, meaning the actual road itself. So what we're trying to do is make sure that water is not being ponded on the road, so we'll do roadside mowing. We'll also be doing the ditching and removing any winter sand in those areas to allow the water to come off the road. If we leave water there, it really reduces the bearing strength of the road, and just reduces, it affects our assets,
So
specifically the
the
road.
simple answer is it's standard best practice to maintain roads, to do the mowing.
Yes.
Thanks.
Yep.
Not a waste.
Thank you.
Thanks, Eric.
Thanks.
Good to know.
So you have 2 people on Zoom.
Is there still people on Zoom?
Lisa, you can speak?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, quick point just about the tides and the use of the beach. Just remember that the Kennebunkport Resort Collection has more than just hidden ponds and the tides, and they do offer that drop-off service. So that is, I think, the reason for the expansion in the number of chairs that people are concerned about. And the one thing I would say is that while they're a signer to the beach use agreement, we need to be mindful of what the town went through to get that beach use agreement and the access for everyone, and make sure that whatever you negotiate with the tides and their other properties does not put the town and the taxpayers and the citizens of Kennebunkport at risk for losing that access. The primary reason for me speaking again is about the short-term rental ordinance. I just wanted to add a couple points from when I spoke 2 weeks ago. Is if you read the short-term rental ordinance that was drafted, approved by the Board of Selectmen, and put to the town for a vote and approved by the town residents, Section 129, the purpose, as a previous gentleman said, includes the modest performance standards intended to protect property owners, renters, and neighbors. One thing of note, nowhere in that purpose does it mention the concept of safety of renters or people in the home. So I think that is something that the select board needs to think about should they wish to make a change to the ordinance. So what's being enforced through the inspection process is not addressed in the purpose. Additionally, under Section 129-7 standards, it talks about code compliance, and it says in Section A, an applicant's property without limitation shall comply with the following building safety requirements. Section 1, smoke alarms. Smoke alarms shall be installed in the following locations: in each bedroom, outside each separate sleeping area in the immediate vicinity of the bedrooms, on each additional story of the dwelling, including basements and habitable attics. Nowhere in that language does it talk about interconnected smoke alarms. The same is true with the carbon monoxide alarms. So that is an expansion of what was written in the ordinance, and that language is not in the ordinance. Additionally, nowhere when it talks about the building code, it doesn't talk anywhere, mention egress windows. That is not in the ordinance. And it doesn't say current building code or reference the statute which which people are being expected to. So the inspections are checklist, and what they're looking for are at odds with what is in the ordinance and was approved by the voters. So I think that the select board needs to take a hard look at the ordinance and bring that up to date before it considers the enforcement and the inspections that go beyond what was in the ordinance. Things need to be clear for people to be able to manage and plan. The other piece I'd like to comment on is process and communication. You have a list of every single short-term rental owner in town, their contact information, et cetera. There was no communication to the owners regarding the changes to the inspection. So I think it's an opportunity going forward to improve the communications. I completely understand what the code enforcement officers are trying to do. Their intentions are good, but they need to follow what's the actual law. Thank you.
Yeah, we're gonna be looking into that. I asked the town manager and her team to look into that and get back with us on that. Did you hear me?
Yes, sorry, thank you. I thought I was muted.
Okay, thank you.
I think, do you have one more?
One more? Yeah.
Bruce, you may speak.
Hello, go ahead.
Bruce, you just need to unmute, please.
Mute.
Now we can hear you, yes.
Okay, so I'm from the Goose Rocks Beach neighborhood, and I'm also very concerned about the cost of the egress windows. We live at the northeast end of Kings Highway on the Tidal River where the GRB landing is. My grandfather bought an acre for $5,000 in 1961, and we put three houses, a Cape, an A-frame, and another Cape, all for less than $100,000. I use the rental income to pay the Kennebunkport taxes, to do maintenance on the house, and to support my house, to support myself. And now this egress window thing we estimate is going to cost at least $6,500 per house. 2 houses, that's $13,000 you're asking out of my budget in 2025. I think that's a really big ask and is kind of beyond the realms of the ordinance originally. I do appreciate the fact that the selectmen work hard and that they keep the Kennebunkport tax rate very low, but I'm concerned about the cost of the egress windows. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Anybody else? No? Okay. 6, Cape Porpoise Pier Committee presentation by Ryder Noyes.
She's saying public hearing at 6.
Okay, so you want to do that now?
I thought you were gonna do it when you get there.
I think we have to at least make the comment of what we're gonna do.
We're gonna continue on with our agenda, and we'll get there shortly. There's not gonna be a public hearing. What it's gonna be is, it's gonna be public comment. And I'll explain that to you when I get there. Go ahead.
He will explain it when we get there.
We'll explain it, yeah.
Sit tight.
Yeah. Go ahead, Ryder.
Good info.
Yep, so I'm chair of the board committee for the Cape Porpoise Pier. The advisory committee was started apparently in 1972. I just learned this myself. Apparently in Dale Noonan's kitchen. Our mission down there is the oversight of pier operations, maintaining facility to support commercial fishing activity, and fuel sales as far as retail goes. We review the pier budget and approval, capacity and needs for equipment and use, observing, advising, and giving input on the new construction that's going on down there now, as best to our ability, and trying to stay out of their way as best we can. Current members include myself, Dan Beard, George Dow, Peter Eaton, Kyle Emmons, Charles McLaughlin, Julian Zook, and Alan, our select board. Support from the Board of Selectmen, I guess the primary would be if you guys can come down and maybe check out how busy it is down there during operating hours. Not just for the fishermen, but also the restaurants. It is kind of a sheer chaos, no matter which way you chalk it up. Budget approval and continued support is very helpful from you guys. And as far as meeting cadences go on our end, we try and follow a written meeting agenda, mostly. Somewhat informal, heavy on discussion and debate. That was the mostly part. Interested parties from the fishing community and general public are often attend, and they're always welcome. I guess the only suggestion down there is increased participation from non-committee fishermen. It would be very beneficial, either attending meetings or by like writing a proposal and dropping it off at to Frank, our harbor master, just to be able to present them at meetings at a later time. And that's all I've got.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thanks, Reiner.
Alan, would you consider moving to 13, just doing 13 maps? Be okay to take it out of order?
Do you want to, should I do that?
Do what? It's up to you. It's up to you. It's your agenda.
It's your agenda.
Yeah. Okay. 7, consider a renewal special amusement permit for Rumline Resort, 41 Turbot's Creek Road.
So moved.
Second?
The first and second. Any discussion?
Recuse myself.
You're gonna, all in favor?
Thank
4
you,
and 1
thank you.
recused. Yep.
Thank you.
Okay. Consider a renewal special amusement permit for Rumline. Excuse me, I did that. Consider a renewal special amusement for Sandy Pines Campground, 277 Mills Road.
I'm going to just mention that last year we discussed this, and what they are asking for is music performances to be limited to the times 4 to 6 p.m. once a week in the pool area, and suggesting that campers only be in attendance. So I move to approve
With that,
with that stipulation.
I will second it, but I think we have somebody who wants to speak.
Hi, Michael Dunlay, Abenaki Way. I spoke on this issue last year. As you said, I think we came to what can be described as a good neighborly compromise, the once a week, 4 to 6. And I think, actually, looking at the minutes from last year, somebody mentioned that maybe there should be a firm stipulation about start and stop dates, Memorial Day to Labor Day or something like that. I don't know that if that actually made it into the permit last year. It did not? No. Okay, so could that be considered this year, or is that?
I think it is, isn't it?
Okay.
what'd you say?
I think it is in the,
It is in there?
Is it in there?
is it?
I don't think so.
I didn't think it was.
I don't think it made it into the motion that was actually
But,
voted.
Can I just say something?
Sure.
How long is their pool going to be open? I mean, they don't open in February, and they're not open in November.
I have no idea.
So
Yeah.
I think we
Right.
don't need that.
It's sort of self-critiquing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm kind of happy that they're just looking for that.
Did that work for you, though?
I think that there's no outstanding complaints. I think it was a
Okay.
fair compromise, we'll say that.
Okay.
A good neighborly compromise. So going forward, I hope, given the nature of their business and that their self-described branding of being a peaceful tranquility, return to nature, hopefully they'll be mindful and considerate both of the surrounding neighborhoods on Abenaki Way and Goose Rocks Beach and some of the other wooded areas on Mills Road, frankly, and hopefully just be mindful of their customer base as well. And I trust moving forward that they'll be considerate when they select the different musical acts, and then as they're performing, just to use common sense that, if somebody down at Goose Rocks or the south side of Abenaki Way is hearing booming music, by definition, it's probably a little bit too loud for a small pool area. So, but anyways, thank you for allowing me to speak.
And I'll agree with you on that.
Yeah, I'm just glad to see that there's no changes from what was stipulated last year. Thank you.
So first and second?
Oh, not, we go.
Hi there, I'm Justin Grimes. I'm the managing partner of Atlantic Hospitality, who owns and operates Sandy Pines Campground. I'm also uniquely live on Abenaki Way, so we're neighbors. And, it's obviously a unique topic. Obviously, I have, personal investment and professional investment in this, but want to be a great, respectful neighbors to Abenaki Way and also responsible operators at Sandy Pines Campground. So totally agreeable to the date range, if that's, something that makes sense to be in there formally if it wasn't previously. I didn't work here last year, so I knew the issue last year, but wasn't part of that resolution, but we're agreeable to that resolution if we want to impose a date timeline to it as well, in addition
I
to
don't think we need to.
the 4 to 6, 1 day a week, so,
You do or you don't?
thank you.
Motion gonna stand the same?
I would have the motion stand the same, and then we renew it every year, so next year, when you come back up, if you want to write that in instead of going through this process. you know, that
Great.
would be
Okay,
better.
so I have a first and second, any more discussion? All in favor?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
You're gonna have to do the next one.
Okay.
9.
Consider a renewal, liquor license renewal for W&A Inc., DBA Cape Pier Chowder House, 79 Pier Road. Staff recommends approval, but I am going to abstain from that vote.
So moved.
Second.
So maybe the vice chair will call the vote.
I will be pleased to call the vote for that. So we have a first and a second. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, seeing none, I'll call the vote. In favor?
Okay.
In favor?
Yes.
4-0.
4-0.
401.
Consider a renewal liquor license renewal and special amusement permit for Tailor Made Hospitality, DBA Hurricane Restaurant, 29 Dock Square. Staff recommends approval.
So moved.
Second.
First and second, any discussion? All in favor? 5-0. 11, consider a renewal liquor license renewal for Arundel Marine Services, DBA Arundel Wharf Restaurant, 43 Avenue. Staff recommends approval.
So
So
moved.
Second.
First, second, any discussion? Hearing none? 5. Okay. Consider the following renewal liquor licenses submitted by Kennebunkport Resort Collection. A, the Boathouse at Kennebunkport LLC, DBA The Boathouse Hotel, 21 Ocean Avenue. B, Cape Arundel Inn LLC, DBA The Cape Arundel Inn, 208 Ocean Avenue. C, Ivy One LLC, DBA Clubhouse at Cape Arundel Inn, 8 Old Fort Avenue. D, Hidden Pond LLC, DBA Hidden Pond, 356 Goose Rocks Road. E, Kennebunkport Inn LLC, DBA Kennebunkport Inn, 1 Dock Square. F, Yachtsman Hospitality LLC, DBA Yachtsman Hotel and Marine Club, 57 Ocean Avenue. G, Lodge on the Cove LLC, DBA Lodge on the Cove, 29 South Main Street. We can go ahead and
Yep.
take
So
a
I'd
vote
like-
of the whole list if you want to at the same time.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to approve the liquor licenses for the Boathouse, Cape Arundel Inn, Ivory One, Hidden Ponds, Kennebunkport Inn, the Yachtsman, and the Lodge on the Cove.
Second.
I have a first and second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Okay. So on 13 with the Tides Beach Club, this is not a new secondary liquor license. The state had already approved it. We have nothing to say about the secondary liquor license. The only thing that we can do tonight is to vote on a renewal. We're gonna discuss it, and we're gonna take public comment no matter what, in a way. And we wanna hear from everybody here. I'd like to keep it kind of short, because everybody wants to say something, and I don't blame them. I understand your feelings. So I'd like to keep it like between 3 or 4 minutes per person. Is that okay with everyone?
Yeah, can I
So-
just add just a little bit of background to that? We found out just today, actually, that it is the state that has the authority to approve or disapprove a cocktails to go type of license. The municipality really has no say. Municipality can award and renew a general liquor license. Once that's done, the holder can request from the state to get cocktails to go. And that's how the system has worked since 2020. So the Tides has had a cocktail to go license since 2020. So there is really nothing new on the surface to this request. The reason we found out is that the state has upgraded their portal system, so that when we received the application, which was really just what we'd always normally gotten was a notification, we didn't get his formal form from the state, and on that state, it had cocktails to go. So we made the assumption it was a new request. Indeed, it was not. Rather, it was just a renewal of an existing license that had been in place, granted by the state, since 2020. So folks that are gonna have comments, I want you to factor that into your thinking as we move forward on this. And so we will again want to hear from you in terms of your thoughts on this, and there will be, as Alan said, an opportunity to do that.
So I think the,
Wait, hang on one second. What's your name?
Emily Nelson.
Okay, Emily, come on.
Yes, thank you. I'm the general manager of the Kennebunkport Resort Collection, as well as the Tides Beach Club. I know many of you in the room and have many familiar faces here. So I'd just like to kind of set the record straight a little bit and some of the exclusive versus permissive use of the beach. I just want to make it clear that, as John Dykstra said, that the intention, or we have been operating with this license since 2020, right? So the concern, I want to make sure that the understanding isn't that we have any plans to serve alcohol on the beach or sell to-go cocktails on the beach. That is, we plan to operate just as we have for the last 5 years. And for any additional comments about beach use and access, I want to make it clear that the rest of our properties across town, the 9 properties within the Kennebunkport Resort Collection, do not have reciprocal use of the Tides Beach access. So I'd like to set the record straight on that as far as the public use, the resort.
Yeah, I think you're.
Please.
So I feel, sitting here, I've stayed quiet. I've kind of watched some of the comments. I would just love for everybody to kind of get an up-to-date status of how we're operating on the beach, kind of reset. As we've said, we have operated very differently in 2024, and I would like for the opportunity to be able to continue to do that in that way, and have a lot of the kind of history reset for the residents, because I feel that we have made a lot of improvements. We have come to the table. We have agreed to certain adjustments in our operation, and I don't feel that we are getting that acknowledgement from the public. Of course, as you say, always open to listening to those one-off situations, but I feel like we've really, as Maureen Summers said, been a good neighbor, and I plan to continue that. But I just want to set the record straight that the application of this is not to serve alcohol on the beach, because that is not a legal thing
So
to do in the
Emily,
state.
just in terms of, since you've had this, can you help us understand, so what has been the process of the Tides? If I go into the Tides, how do I order a cocktail, what do I get, where do I go with it?
You have to order a full meal to receive a cocktail to go.
Okay, and I leave with that? Am I given directions by the Tides not to go on the beach?
Well, we wouldn't necessarily, everybody knows that that alcohol is not
No, that's part of the problem, is just like you heard before, earlier, is, I think somebody spoke about the dogs, and I actually ran into that when I was walking the beach.
I apologize. We do clarify that, right? Because we're offering guests also a food ordering from our restaurant, right? So there would be always that conversation. We make it clear that cocktails can't go across the street. And I would like to say that this has been, again, in operation for 4 years, 5 years.
And so how do you, so the public's here tonight, and so this is a great opportunity to speak to them. So how do you control that? How do you monitor to make sure somebody's not walking across the street with the alcohol and the food?
Well, as we've acknowledged, we have beach tenders, right? We have our personnel on the beach, so we can stop right on Goose Rocks on the sand to say that that's not permitted, that's not where we sell that, right? In addition, the person that's selling the food, providing the check, either the bartender providing the cocktail, is all giving that policy to the guest.
Okay, but there's no way to stop them, so you have your person just standing at the beach entrance from the tides, not at the other entrances into the beach.
That's correct, but I know we also have public safety officers, right, patrolling as far as alcohol consumption and kind of nipping any public consumption that they can see as well, right?
Yeah, I think it's easy to spot a bottle of beer. I think it's maybe less hard, it's maybe a little more difficult to spot a,
Would you like to see a photo of what the
yeah, that would
bottle
be
looks
great.
like? Sure.
Yeah, that would be helpful.
So, I mean, I think they're just equal to what I'm printed, but looks like it's similar to a bottle or a can.
Yeah.
This is the label.
So this is the Tides.
Is that for the to-go?
Yeah.
Okay.
And they're in jars, labeled jars with your name on them.
And the lid is made in a way that once you turn it, you know that the seal's been broken, right? So
Yeah, yeah, it's a
in theory, if
tamper-proof.
somebody's walking away, walking down the street, you can acknowledge whether it's,
Right.
you being stopped can acknowledge whether it's been
Been opened or not.
Would you go,
How many
to the
do you
mic?
think?
Can you go to the mic?
You have to go to the mic.
Sorry.
Please.
Sorry. Do you have a sense to just how many of these are sold? Or do you have any feeling for how popular this has been? Or?
It's kind of I would say it's a little bit of like an on the know basis, right? It's not on our menus as selling all of our signature cocktails to go because we don't sell all of them to go. They're pre-bottled.
And it has to be with
I
a
would
full
say-
meal.
Exactly, right? I'd say maybe 500 in a season. I mean, the volume is not a
And
lot.
Mostly during the day or at the evening? Are this evening people taking them home with them, or what?
A lot
what
of
are your
people,
sense?
I mean, frankly, a lot of people that live and Goose Rock's residents enjoy taking them home. So they're walking.
So, Emily, you've had this since 2000,
Mhm.
which came out in COVID when every restaurant in town
Right.
got a liquor license to go. It has not been repealed, so you've been operating that since 2000.
2020.
2020, sorry, 2020. How much, have you seen it increase, or was it more prevalent during 2020, 2021, and it's kind of on its way down? I mean, if it has been going on, and you've kind of, do people in the neighborhood actually order your cocktails to go, more than people who go to the beach?
Absolutely. Yeah. As anybody that's visited the Tides, we have kind of some iconic cocktails, right? So people really enjoy to not enjoy them. They might want them at their home. So that is kind of the offering. A lot of it is homeowners in the area or locals that really like to have a watermelon cocktail.
How much takeout do you do? Is that?
Not a significant amount of volume. I mean, it's mostly to feed our guests on the beach, would be the majority of it.
They're not allowed to get cocktails?
They're not allowed to get cocktails, no.
And do you see any changes in your operation going forward this year for to-go business? Any changes you're making? You're advertising it or setting up any special things for people to sit at, or?
No, the only thing that prompted this, right, as you said, was the state website change, and so we want to be compliant. We want to make sure we're checking the right boxes and filing for the right applications to continue doing the business as we typically would.
Yep.
So that's why this kind of all sprouted, right? We provided all the information, we filed the license, and here we are. So, there's no change in operation from the Tides perspective. It's business as usual.
So Emily, we just went through the approval of all the other restaurants that,
Mm-hmm.
that you
KRCs.
own. That
The umbrella.
The
Yes.
umbrella of those.
Yes.
And so this is I'm confused on why this is the one that's called out for a cocktails to go license.
It historically was the only one that, or it's the one that, again, going back to what I just said, signature cocktails, they're craveable, they're iconic. I'm not sure if anybody's necessarily a fan of them, right? But people really enjoy certain, the ones that we sell via the bottle. So that's why we've kind of extended and continued that offering post-COVID. Whereas, we don't have the same demand that we see, for, say, a Boathouse cocktail as we do for the Tides.
So this is the only, you'll be there. This is the only.
She's answering our questions. We want to hear these questions.
Sorry?
This is the only one of your organization, your larger organization, that has the cocktail to go add-on to the license?
It's the only one we're actively selling for. I mean, that we're actively selling to go licenses for, or cocktails for, yes.
It's the only one that has that additional.
I would have to
space.
check the record. The SNP from the system from the state only shows Kennebunkport and the Tides.
I'm sorry, that's what I meant,
yes.
Kennebunkport. in Kennebunkport, it's the only one, yeah.
So I have a question. So when you serve your to-go order with a cocktail, do you, how do you do that? You take the order, you just hand it to them and off they go, or do you put them in the car, or what do you do with the liquor?
It would go in the same bag as the rest of the items purchased.
And they just pick the bag up and leave?
Walk out, yeah.
Okay.
Any-
Is there any more questions from
So
the board?
if it's in a bag of, so I guess my concern is, so I'm glad Tides has iconic drinks.
I
So
mean,
I get that, but I still, in my mind, I go through all of the ones that you own, and this is the only one that has an iconic drink that you've gone for this license, so it doesn't stop my mind from going to the beach. So I can't separate, and then if I say there's a Tides person that's going to be accountable for when that person walks across the street with a bag that may or may not have a cocktail to go in it, and then they go beyond the 25 feet, then they're on to the public beach. So I appreciate what the state did in the times of COVID. I understand the guidance and the rules that we're living in right now. But I'm also looking at it from, what we've been trying to do from a beach perspective. And, we have always stated that we are a family-friendly beach. And so I think that's where I can't see. I know when you walk out of the Tides, there's a door that you walk out of and somebody can be accountable for that. But once you go past the bushes and you're on the street, I don't know how we keep anything in reality off the beach, but that's just my comment over my heads right now.
Yeah, I would just also ask, there's another public store on the beach, right? So what's different than somebody walking into the general store, purchasing alcohol and walking across the street?
Yeah, I think in a beer type of scenario, it's easier to find. I think it'll be interesting, because your containers to me actually look like, Simply Juice or Simply Orange containers. So if I'm walking down the beach and I see that clear with that type of shape, I'm thinking, hey, they're healthy. They're drinking a Simply Orange. They're getting their vitamin C. Not that they're getting, buzzed. So I think that's where I was envisioning something that, really stood out, like alcohol, because otherwise I'm looking at this from a town perspective, not from your business perspective. And again, as Maureen said, we're working hard as we have been, with the businesses in the community, but then we have to step back, and we're in a sensitive area here with the beach. And I'm gonna be interested to hear from the public during the comment session on what they think. But I think that's where I am right now, it's that, I just don't know how to patrol. There's enough things that we have in our town that we can't patrol, and this is a tough one for us, I think.
I just also not sure if I've heard in all of the discussion surrounding Tides and the beach usage, right, and how we operate on the beach. I'm not sure that I've heard a mention of alcohol consumption at all, right?
No,
Has that been a concern that's been raised
No,
prior in the last 4 years that we've operated this
Well, I
way?
think that's what we're waiting to hear from
Yeah,
some of the
but it's
public.
not something that I'm hearing kind of from the public.
No, so we're gonna let the public talk, but I think to set the record straight again, this is a license issued by the state. You have had it since 2020, so you've been operating under this license. It's only came to the town's notification because you came in for your renewal, your annual renewal. It happened to show cocktails to go, which we hadn't seen before, which kind of set things in motion. And we learned today that you've had it for 5 years and that the state issues it, and it's just a add-on to your renewal license. So this sole discussion needs to be about the liquor license renewal, not about the beach, not about chairs. This particular agenda item is simply about the liquor license for the Tides. So I think we can open up to the comment.
Thank you, Mr. Bancroft. And I will say, Ms. Gilbert, if there is I'm happy to have a conversation about containers, right? This is what we've done. If it's desired that it's more outwardly alcohol, happy to go back to the, go back to the drawing board on that. Like, I hear your feedback on that, so.
Yeah,
I think we should let the public talk, and then if we have more, we can talk
Certainly.
about that.
Everybody good?
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Thanks, Emily.
Let me collect all of
Is there anybody here that would like to make a comment?
Alex Lacciato, Bel Air Ave, Goose Rocks. Well,
You have to
Al-
speak
Alex, into the mic.
oh, I'm sorry.
As close as you can.
Does this come out?
It does come
It
out, but
does.
Well, can you hear me now?
yes.
Anyhow, question, I probably know the answer, but you haven't had an opportunity to discuss with town council whether or not this is a legal maneuver by the Tides, inasmuch as the Tides, as you probably know, is a non-conforming use in right now. No commercial businesses are allowed at Goose Rocks. So therefore, anytime they want to expand their use, and they are expanding it in this endeavor, because the prior owner, or the one who had it prior to Harrington, or the, whatever this LLC is, never, and I won't get into the kayaks and the paddle boards, but never had to-go drinks served. Now, my question is, does that state license supersede the town's zoning ordinance? I don't think so. And as a result, in order to get this to-go cocktails, that's an expansion of a non-conforming use. And if you want to expand a non-conforming use, the general situation is that you go to the zoning board of adjustment to seek a variance. Well, the zoning board couldn't grant a variance because to grant a variance, there has to be a hardship owing to the land. Well, serving cocktails to go hasn't got anything to do with the land. So if they want this license, it seems to me that it requires an amendment to the zoning ordinance, and that amendment is then submitted to the town voters for approval. So I would suggest that you contact the town's attorney, whoever he or she may be, and determine whether or not the state can supersede the town's zoning ordinance. And that's about all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay?
Thank you.
Richard Driver, Goose Rocks. So picking up where Alex said about the state, you know, the state has no right to tell us to waive a non-conforming use. And that's essentially what they did. I'm interested whether or not the Tides told the state when they applied for this to-go license that they were a non-conforming use. There's a state case, Frost v. Lucy, 1967. It was a hotel restaurant, and they wanted to expand the restaurant. State court said, no, you're expanding a non-conforming use. It was within the same area. In other words, they weren't building something else. They weren't building an extension of the restaurant. It was in the same area. But because they went out to the public to advertise and get more customers, it was an expansion of their use. And what we have here, you know, if you look at what, it's sort of misleading, a to-go cocktail. You can't order a cocktail and a bag of pretzels.
Correct.
Right.
You have to order a cocktail and a meal. And that is not what the Tides has done in the past. Let me tell you just quickly a story. In the 1980s, had a house on Belvedere, was going to New Jersey the next day. My dog was out doing her thing, and there was a skunk. And got the dachshund, body, face, what have you. And it was too late for me to go to Bradbury's to pick up some tomato juice or what have you. And so I walked over to the Tides and said, Marie, could you sell me a can of tomato juice? And she said, no, I can't sell anything to go. I mean, if you were having it in the restaurant, fine. But I'm not allowed to sell anything to go. But she said, you're a neighbor, I'll lend you a can of tomato juice. Well, I've got to tell you, tomato juice doesn't work. The 7 hours from Goose Rocks to New Jersey with that dog was a tour de force. But the point of it is the prior owner did not have anything that was to go. If you had a meal and you had something left over, that was one thing. But now we're talking about a operation that no matter how many it is, whether it's 500 or 1,000 or 2,000, it is a to-go restaurant. That is not what the Tides has been in the past. And to allow this is just to destroy the basis of a non-conforming use. I mean, we've had this before. The town had been involved in litigation with Turbots Creek with an expansion of a non-conforming use. We had it when Ocean Woods was before the planning board, and they obviously recognized what was proposed was an expansion. But I think you need to get to the town attorney, and the state needs to be told, this is a non-conforming use, and you have now expanded a non-conforming use in a municipality by issuing this license. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any comments?
Just one more thing. I think
You have to come up to the line.
I wouldn't want to jeopardize the town, the Tides license, you know, the regular liquor license. So at a minimum, grant them that and delay the other.
So, just so you know, we cannot, that is not an option.
Oh, yes, it is.
No, it is not. It is a renewal of their liquor license. And their liquor license includes on-premise liquor sales, the mini bar, and the to-go.
Well, I have them file a new application for that and exclude the other. If they want to be cooperative.
It's a possibility, but I want people to know, this is a renewal of the existing liquor license, which includes on-sale premises, mini bar.
Which we never knew.
Well, mini bar and the to-go.
Right, and to clarify to your point, we have, when we have approved the liquor license last year, it was for on-premise and mini bar, not to go,
Right.
so.
But that was because the state's portal didn't show
No,
that.
I know, but I'm just saying what the board approved last year.
Which is
okay?
why we're having the public comment.
Well, the state shouldn't run the show.
Well, we can agree on that.
Anybody else? Is there anybody? Go ahead.
Rob Wengel, Kings Highway. I don't know all the legal aspects of this, and I see a lot of my neighbors and friends who are obviously very concerned. I think we need to look at the facts that were just shared. I think we're chasing a problem that's not a problem. So I think there is, if we see that there's a problem and the beach starts to become a non-family oriented beach, I think we should, there are ways to enforce codes, there are ways to enforce noise issues, there are ways to enforce the cascading effect if there is a problem. But if they serve 500, and I don't know the number, but I would bet that most of the to-go meals are for neighbors taking it to their homes. And it is a very important part of our neighborhood. And I think many of the people here enjoy the Tides, use the Tides, and I think they've been a very respectful neighbor. If this gets out of control, I think we would address it, but I think there's no evidence that in the past 4 years that there has been a problem at the beach that's changed it from its family orientation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Come right up.
Kate Bauer Burke, Summer Breeze Lane. I felt like I just heard a Jesuit approach of ask for
I
forgiveness,
was Jesuit
not permission.
educated, so.
Yeah. I'm sorry we didn't know that this was in existence. I can understand why during COVID there were special situations. It was a once-in-a-lifetime situation, and I can understand why special rules were made for businesses to help them survive. But the fact that whether it's the main licensing portal not knowing about this and that it's been happening, I go back to the situation that Alex and Richard both pointed out. We have zoning laws for a reason. And X number of years ago, the voters in this town made the Goose Rocks Beach a non-commercial zone. It was intended to be what we have all thought it to be, a family-oriented, non-commercial. It grandfathered the two businesses. I think there were only the two at that time. There was one guy actually who went out of business on Dyke Road. Used to sell ice cream. It's the best thing he sold. Yeah. The rest of his food wasn't so great. The ice cream was good. But the two businesses were grandfathered only to the extent of the businesses that they were currently doing. Now we've dealt with this issue with Ocean Woods. That was a very cogent issue with that. And I believe the town council was consulted and agreed that what was proposed would be an illegal expansion of use. And I say the same thing is here. And taking the approach of, well, let's let it keep happening and see whether we like it or not. That's the point is we have zoning laws for a reason. And this is definitely not the kind of business that was done before when the Tides was in existence, when the zoning laws were put into effect. I won't go into the issue of things that are happening on the beach that was also not happening then, but certainly this expansion to it to go, yeah, and I love a Tides Watermelon Cosmo as much as anybody in this room. But I'll go down there and get it there, or learn how to make something like that at home. So I urge you to, even though it's after the fact, I still think, I agree with Richard and with Alex, that our zoning laws have meaning, and I'm not sure that, I'd love to hear from town council, whether this override in effect of them by granting this type of liquor license to a business that never had anything or did anything like that before to maintain its grandfathered status. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Let's get a new voice.
I'll get you next, sir.
You did it again.
Let me just, Mr. Bancroft, you essentially said it is a fait accompli, and we can't do anything.
I didn't say it was a fait accompli. What I just want to keep people focused on is that this is a license renewal request from the Tides. That's what's before the board, and the town can decide to give the Tides a license or not. In that liquor license, which we learned this afternoon, on-site premises. I don't think anyone here is arguing that they shouldn't have an on-site sale of liquor. Mini bar in the hotel room. I don't think anyone's complaining about that. It's the to-go. It's the to-go issue that came up, which popped up on their application, first time we'd ever seen it, and then we were informed today that it is something that the state issues, not the town, and it is part of the regular license. So either we are going to eventually, we can table it or we can do whatever, but I mean, I just want people to understand, it is a renewal of their liquor license or a denial of their liquor license for everything at liquor, alcohol related at that thing. We can have the conversation, we want to hear the comments, we want to hear the concerns. Has there been issues with it in the town? Have you found it in the neighborhood? There's bottles all over the place? I mean, that's what we want to hear. But I mean, I just think people also need to understand that that's what that's what the board has to deal with.
It's irrelevant whether there are bottles or used containers. It is against our ordinances. Let me just finish, Mr. Bancroft. So, one thing that you can do is to deny their license so long as the to-go is part of it. and tell them, go back to the state. Be forthright with the state and say, we are a non-conforming use, and we're not allowed to expand that use. Now, you know, our history with the tides is inch by inch. There's always something. I mean, it was sandwich boards and they were going to rent to the public surfboards. I mean, there's always something that they want to try to expand.
I hear you. Main law 1056, folks should take a look at that. That explains what we can do and can't do with carry-out liquor licenses.
Well,
carry-out.
My suggestion is have some spine and turn down the license.
Anybody else? Sir, you had a comment? That gentleman raised his hand first in the blue. You'll have to come up or pass.
We can pass him the microphone.
Hand him the mic.
Yeah. There we go, we're good.
My name is Brendan Donovan. I live on Kings Highway. And I just want to point out, approximately 5 years ago, Mr. Harrington brought in a financial partner. Unfortunately, my computer is down, so I couldn't get the name, but I remember that it began with the letter E, and it's out of New York.
EOS.
I'm sorry?
EOS.
Okay, well, if you look that company up on who they manage money for, it's primarily Saudi Arabian money. And I'm sure this Saudi Arabian, this money manager in New York, the original liquor license to Harrington was issued to Harrington. Now he has a partner. I wonder whether the whole liquor license had to have been renewed at the time he brought in a partner, which changed the ownership behind the liquor license. It may not be the same liquor license originally issued to Harrington.
Okay, thank you for your comment.
Okay.
Thank you. Sir?
Yes.
I'm just gonna grab the mic here.
Oh.
My name's John Larrabee. I live at Bartlett Avenue. And as to a comment about not drinking on the beach as a result of this, there are times at the crack of dawn when I'm out walking dogs that there are wine glasses, that there are beer bottles out around the yellow chairs. And they're quickly cleaned up, but there is drinking on the beach in front of tides. So please take that in note. You know, they do have monitors on the beach, but is that till close? Because under the cover of darkness, people are drinking there.
Thank you.
Okay.
Alan, you drank at the beach.
What?
I said you drank at the beach when you were a kid.
Was there somebody over here
You
that
had a
had hand raised?
comment over
Come on
here.
up.
Come on up.
My name's Katie McDonald. I live on Community House Road. I actually just have a question. It's not commentary, and you'll have to forgive me. I'm a blue-collar worker that doesn't have any legal knowledge or experience. If you folks were, because I understand it's pretty much a approve or deny situation as it is right now. If you were to deny the license, is that something that they could immediately reapply? Is it, they have to wait a year? Like, what would they be able to do if you were to deny it because of the information that this is all included in what you would be approving? So if you were to deny it, would they be able to tomorrow put in a new license and apply to be able to just get a straight liquor license that doesn't include the to-go? I'm not sure if that's something any of you can answer or if anyone in the room can answer. Again, I'm not a lawyer, I don't know legal terminology, but if the options are yes or no, I guess if it was no, obviously, I understand their business and they're a big part of the community. Is it something that, you know, they'd be having to shutter their doors because they would have to wait a year
They
or something?
can put another application in.
Okay, and that would be something that could be brought to your attention relatively quickly, or is that
Yeah,
something that would
that's
be a
something they
long,
could do.
drawn-out
Yeah.
process?
Yeah.
And then someone also mentioned that it could be tabled. Is there a deadline that you have to approve or deny this license by?
So
60 days.
you have
60 days from today?
No, from the day
From
they
when they
apply.
apply the license?
Right.
Or if we do not have an answer for them, it is deemed approved.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else? Anybody else?
We have a gentleman
We
here.
have
have one on Zoom,
Anyone on Zoom?
Ed Francis from number 2 Touchstone Drive. I serve on the planning board, and so I was, my ears perked when I heard non-conforming use and even worse than that, expansion of a non-conforming use, because we deal with this
Can you
from time
talk
to
into the
time.
microphone, because people at home need to hear you.
I appreciate that. I thought I was doing that.
There, better.
If I understood the argument that the two gentlemen made, there's a thought that at some point in time, the Tides did not do any takeout business. And that when they chose to have takeout meals, regardless of whether alcohol was involved, that, in their opinion, should have triggered some action by the town to say, hey, that's an expansion of a non-conforming use. Now, separate from that is if you have a takeout meal, is a beverage allowed? And separate again from that, is it an alcoholic beverage? I think the state has ruled on alcoholic beverages and to-go. They've just, I think, made that law permanent. That was a COVID time law. It's permanent, and so they're allowed to do that. I think what you're saying is, did we make a mistake 10 years ago? Whenever the Tides started doing takeout, that we should have been concerned that it was an expansion of use, that it was damaging to the neighborhood somehow with noise and whatever. And I'm not hearing any of that. I'm hearing that some people have seen evidence that some people drink on the beach, and that doesn't shock me. But to me, this looks like a tempest in a teapot, where we got concerned because of some language that sounded like we were going to be selling drinks and people were going to go out on the beach and drink them on tables and have cocktail parties. That's not what's going on. This is the same thing that's been going on for 3 or 4 years. It's not clear to me that this is an expansion of use. I think you could put that to the attorney, but in my opinion, it's not.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? There's one on the Zoom. Hang on 1 minute.
Julianne, you may speak.
Hi, this is Julianne Ambrose from Dyke Road. So, I heard the argument about the beach monitors, the Tides having their own monitor and looking out for the alcohol on the beach. I wonder, first of all, whether their beach monitors would be actually looking in a bag. If I brought a purse or a beach bag and I put my dinner and alcohol in that beach bag, I don't really think anybody would be looking in. I do think there's been an incredible amount of trash in that area of the beach. I've picked it up myself. Not obviously just solely myself, but I've picked up a fair share. I think the other thing is they mentioned the town beach monitors as assessing the situation, and I am very curious about the town's liability as it gets involved in that kind of thing. If we're monitoring alcohol use from the Tides, what happens if there is a problem when someone drinks and then drives out of there, or some other problem happens, drowns, for instance, when after drinking. So I am curious about a liability to the town and what that would mean. I would agree, yes, okay, if there has not been a huge problem so far, that's lovely. But when a problem happens, that's when legal issues start to happen. So that would be another concern. It's hard for me, honestly, to separate. I know we were asked to separate the expanding chairs, the expanding parking situations, all of it. It's hard for me to do that because it just seems like a burgeoning use, and this being part of that. So those are some of my concerns. Thank you.
Thank you. Are you all set? Anybody else? So this is how I'm looking at it. I hope you guys are looking at the same thing I am. There's been a lot of questions, a lot of comments tonight, and there's a lot of things that everybody's brought up. I would like to table this till the next meeting.
Yeah, we have some discussions to do.
What do you guys feel?
No, I think we've listened to the public. There have been some good points brought up. I don't see tabling it till next, 2 weeks from now is not gonna make sense. I mean, so we can talk to the attorney, just see if there's anything else that the town needs to look into. Take some of the comments, and if anyone else has further comments, we're happy to take them. I'm not tonight, I mean, you can send emails, but.
There is something said about a non-conforming use that we don't really know.
Yep.
And I think that we need to look into
Yeah.
it, and I think that we need a little more time
Yeah.
to do this before we
Yeah,
call
I
it.
think we have to check with our
Town
legal
Yep.
people on this too, on that.
Mary Beth?
Non-conforming.
So I'm thankful for this residents coming out. I'm thankful for Tides being here to give us their point of view also. I think it was a very good discussion within our community. I think I agree with what's been voiced from the chair and the rest of the select board right now, is that we table this. We have some points that I've captured, and I know my other fellow board members have captured, that we'd like to go get some legal guidance on. And also have some time to think through all of this, because it is, yeah, I think there's I'll use the onion, there's layers to this.
John?
I agree, table it.
Do you have to vote for that?
Yes. And
So-
you need a date,
Next,
because
Date?
if you just table it indefinite,
Okay.
No, no.
For 2
No,
weeks.
no, we'll just,
So
for
you
the
need a
next
date in
meeting,
your motion.
the next meeting.
How does this impact the opening next week?
There's nothing we can do about it. We need to talk.
well, they got
They can't serve.
they got their liquor license. But it's already voted on.
No,
No, they
liquor-
didn't.
No, we're not gonna vote on this liquor license tonight.
Well,
We're gonna table it, the ties.
It's an interesting point.
Oh,
How do
okay.
licenses work? We've got 60
Well,
days
does
to
it,
work
wait
on
a sec,
this. It would
when
continue
when
for
does it
the 60
expire?
days. It would not expire.
When does your current license expire?
It expires May 12th.
Okay.
So you have a liquor license through May 12th,
I have an active liquor
license through May
to
12th.
go cocktails.
To sell good, yeah, to go
That's
through
the
May
60
12th.
days for the.
And when is our
Yeah.
next meeting?
May 8th.
We are good.
You're good.
So you're covered.
You may have to stop on the 13th,
So-
but you're covered.
I need a motion to table
Did that
this.
answer your question in the back?
Okay.
So I would make a motion to table this discussion so that the board can go into discussion with, if needed, with legal counsel, and then come back, and bring this back to the next board meeting on May
8th,
8th.
okay, I have a first,
Second.
have a second. Any more discussion? Hear none, all in favor? Yep. Thank you, we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Okay. Thank you, everybody, for coming.
Let's take 5, let people.
You want to take 5? Yeah, we'll take 5.
Gotta take 5 minutes.
You don't want to take 5?
Don't want to take 5? No, never mind.
We're not taking 5.
We're not taking 5.
We're going to keep talking while
Yep.
everyone's talking.
Well, no, we're going to give it a
So
minute.
John, we're not taking, John,
Dave?
Dave, we're not taking 5.
Thank you for coming, but the noise in here is overwhelming everyone else.
Oh, that cleared out.
Good night.
Watching the growth of the teenagers to 20-somethings to 40.
Okay, item number 14, consider a license agreement I got liquor on my breath.
On your
Considering a license agreement with Old Clough Road Association for the placement of mailboxes in a structure to house waste and recycling carts.
Waste everything.
Good, do we,
Tracy, is that you? Is Tracy Dowd here?
Tracy, oh,
No.
No?
So, I've been working with Tracy Dowd, but I haven't met her yet. She's in the Zoom room.
Okay.
So, as you know, we have the implementation of automated waste and recycling pickup coming soon. People on private roads are dealing with group pile areas, and Casella and our Public Works Department have been working with each of them. Old Clough Road is in a situation where they would like to have a structure to house the many bins, the recycling and waste bins. And also they have their mailboxes, and that currently exists, the mailboxes on town land. Town land abuts this. And so they have asked for permission to create a structure as well as place their mailboxes in the horseshoe turnaround. So I crafted a license agreement that is similar to license agreements that the board has done in the past with businesses and citizens regarding the right-of-way. So this is a little different. It's beyond the right-of-way. It's our property. But it allows them to have that there. They take any responsibility and maintenance costs for that. And then if the town should ever need that property in the future, we would give 60 days notice. And the reason for that is because otherwise you would need town meeting approval if it's a long-term agreement. So if Tracy's in the audience, I don't know if she has anything to add.
Tracy, do you have anything to add to that?
Tracy, can you please unmute?
Yes, I'm unmuted. I do not have anything to add to that, other than the fact that we have a number of elderly people who live on the road, and being able to pick up these containers and put them, many of them don't even have vehicles to accommodate that. This would be a huge help in creating a space that we could store them, and people could just bring down their bags, put them in the containers, and then roll them to the approved area that Casella has been out to visit and is willing to pick up the containers.
I think it's a marvelous model moving forward for folks to be able to facilitate the new system when they're on a private road. So I'm pleased to support this.
So we need a motion.
I would move that we accept the license agreement with Old Clough Road Association for the placement of mailbox and structures to house waste and recycling carts.
Second.
I have a first and second. Any more discussion? All in favor? 5-0.
Laurie, have we had any other of the larger private roads come forward with this? No? Okay.
Thank you, Tracy.
Thank you very much.
Okay. 15, authorize the wastewater commitment for calendar year 2025.
So moved.
Second.
First and second, any discussion? No? All in favor?
Very detailed.
Dave? 5-0. Excuse me. Authorize prorated wastewater commitments for 2023 and 2024.
So moved.
Second.
First and second, any discussion?
No.
All in favor? Certification of the referendum questions for the June town meeting warrant. We have to certify that. We have to make a motion.
Is there anything, we've been through it several times.
Yes, we certainly have.
We just certified.
So this is just the official certification of the ordinances we've brought forward in the past, just to say what you have been presented is the final version, and they'll be posted at Town Hall after you give your approval, so that people can come in and see. We'll put them on the website and all of the places.
And these are for the ballot questions?
Yes.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? 5-0. Thanks, Tracy.
Sure. I'm going to stand here.
Yeah,
for a
you
few
might as well
minutes.
stay there. 18, authorize and sign the June 2025 town meeting warrant.
So this is the warrant that you've seen and reviewed many times over. Nothing has changed since you voted on the warrant articles at the last meeting, so it's just the official signing of the warrant.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Okay. Countersign the RSU 21 budget validation referendum election warrant.
This is the one we have to sign, right?
Yeah, we're forced into it.
Grudgingly.
So I did just want to point out that the budget meeting is going to be on Monday night, May 5th, at the Kennebunk Elementary School at 7 p.m. So I really encourage residents to attend the meeting and hear what the school board has to say about the budget they're presenting, and that's a good time to ask any questions or concerns that people have. So I just want people to understand that they do have a voice in that process.
So the school budget is not set.
Well,
It's voted on that night by the voters of the three towns.
Gotcha.
and I want to be clear, I think they do an excellent job in what they do. It's just, I don't like our percentage.
Need a motion?
I ain't making it.
I'm not making it.
What?
I'm not making it.
I'm not, right, I will make the motion.
Just to be clear, you're countersigning the warrant so the voters can have a say.
I know, but we don't even want to make it.
I will make the motion to countersign the RSU 21 budget validation referendum warrant
And I will
without an endorsement.
And I will second it.
First and second? Mary Beth, any discussion?
Oh, man, I could go on all night.
Let's keep
Okay.
moving now.
All in favor?
That's such a harsh statement, Alan. Not in favor.
Okay. So, let's see, where am I at?
20.
20. Set a public hearing date of May 8th, 2025 to consider the ordinance revisions and referendum questions on June 11th, 2025, town meeting ballot.
And just to be clear, it should say the June 10th town meeting ballot.
Oh.
June 11th is our
Is the
town
town
meeting, but the ballot will be on June 10th.
Okay.
Oh, that's right, we moved it to Wednesday.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So moved.
Second.
We have a first and second, all in favor? 21, update on start of automated waste collection by Yanina. There she is, doing double duty tonight.
Good evening, everyone. Yanina Nicholas, Director of Support Services, and I will ask Eric LaBelle to help me because his department took this huge project, and the department led this project in many ways. So as you know, we have been dealing with automated trash pickup, and this has been an ongoing process for a few months now. There's been a large process, so we divided it in a few steps. We sent out commercial letters, we sent out residential letters, and now the time is here. So we are expecting that cards will be delivered starting on April 28th. So it doesn't mean everybody will get their cards on April 28th. It means that that's the start of the delivery date, and it will take about a week. So Cascade is our delivery company, so they have a staging set up at the wastewater department, and they will be going door to door and dropping off one trash can and one recycling can. You don't have to be at your house at the time of delivery, so when you will come home from work or your errands, it will magically be there, and you'll just pull them in your driveway. So as we discussed before, each cart, one trash, one recycling, will be 64 gallon. We do ask residents to try it out for a month because it has been recommended by Casella and by communities near us that 64 works really well. Yet, if it doesn't work for a family or for a person, you can request a different size cart, either larger, which is 96 gallons, or smaller, which is 35 gallons. But all of that will happen in a month. You will be able to call to the Public Works Department and make this request, and it will be delivered to your house by the Public Works Department.
Swap out, they'll swap
And they'll
out.
swap.
Correct. It will be swapped out. Yep. So the trash and recycling pickup with new cards starts on May 5th. So the whole week of April, from April 28th, your cards will be delivered. And then next week, May 5th, Casella will go around and start automated pickup with new cards. So we are expecting a little hiccups on the way, but Casella will be fixing those hiccups. They have stickers to put in case people will not place their cards correctly. So it's going to be fixed on the way. I also want to point out that both trash and recycling will be picked up each week now. So there is no more alternative weeks. There's no more calendars. It's going to be every week for both. Another important information is that you will be able to dispose of your old bins, if you wish to do so, at Public Works location, and we have 2 dates for it set up right now. So we have May 9th from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m., and we have Saturday, May 10th from 7 a.m. to noon. The reason for a drop-off instead of pickup is because Cascade and Public Works Department do not want to take any responsibilities for or make mistakes with the bins that people have at their houses. Sometimes people want to keep their bins, so they don't want to take them. So it's going to be up to the residents to bring those bins to Public Works Department. And lastly, so some of the routes will change just because automated pickup makes it quicker in some ways, so there are going to be some changes in the routes. So, and some will stay the same. We have the updated map on our website. It might still change, so I would say check out your route closer to May 5th, as closer as you can to May 5th. There is also a Casella app that you can download to your phone. It currently has current routes, so it has today's delivery, pickup days, but it will switch on May 5th. That app works really well, and they have other notifications for the town. So if we have community events, they will be able to upload those. So it's just generally beneficial to have those reminders on your phone, if you can. But again, the routes will be posted on the website, and you also can call Public Works Department and ask about your route and pickup day. And we did post residential letter, and FAQs on the website under Solid Waste Department. So if anyone hasn't received their letter for some reason, they can find it on our website. Eric, did I miss anything?
Just 105 Beechwood is their facility, just so the drop-off bin, so you don't know the address.
Do you have any questions?
A shout out to Liz for all the good work she did along with
Yes,
Eric.
that's why I asked Eric to help. Liz definitely took the majority of this, and she led us through this with Casella.
Did you get all the bag stuff?
We did. Yes. So.
What if somebody needs more than one trash container?
So unfortunately, we do not offer that option. We do offer to update to 96 gallons. It's just because we have a certain contract. Yes,
So
just
there
one.
Only one.
Just one recycling and one trash. You can upgrade to 96, which is quite large. You will be surprised how much will fit in that. But we do not offer an option of extra trash or recycling bins. We have a contract, and it costs certain amount.
But
So.
Casella will enter into a individual contract with a resident if they so need it, correct? Will they offer
I
that?
think they're looking at that on a case-by-case.
They're still looking
basis.
at a case by case, so if someone did need it, they could contact Casella. There's a possibility they could
Yeah,
arrange
they
that
can.
pickup.
They will have to talk to Casella and check with Casella.
But it's
Yeah.
their own contract with Casella.
It's their own personal
It's their own another contract.
Alan's got a
Yeah.
question.
You have a question?
Alan Evelyn, Brookside Drive. I'm curious to know if during the drop-off of the bins, whether they'll be labeled to residences, because people on private roads, there's often a big collection at the end. So will they be numbered to the address? Or are the people deciding that they would do it for themselves?
Eric might have that answer.
So those bins will be delivered to your home?
He's asking
So
if they have,
individual homes.
So we will
they,
drive down the private roads and deliver the bins to the driveways.
So it's gonna be a smaller truck. It's not gonna be a solid waste truck traveling.
no, I think what Alan's asking is, they all go down to the end of the road, and then when you go to drag them back, will it have people's either addresses on it, or their phone, or their name,
They-
but they won't, they'll have a serial number on. Right.
Yes.
People will need to label the bins themselves.
Yeah, we asked that they place maybe a piece of duct tape or something like that on it, because they do get damaged, and if they do get damaged and we're called to help, we will take that bin and change it out with a new one. So we don't want permanent markings on there, because we'll be reutilizing those bins after we repair them.
That's a good point.
Okay.
I've not heard that before, so that's an important thing we need to let people know.
Yeah.
Don't
Yeah,
put,
everyone needs to label their bin with duct tape and magic marker.
I think if it's in front of your home, I'd be surprised if somebody, there are serial numbers and chips in these that will be assigned to your home.
Oh, all right, so you will know what they're, it's only at the group files that's important.
Yes, but nonetheless, it's still assigned to a resident on that private road. So each one has a unique identifier.
I think it's helpful if people label them, especially on those private roads.
Especially on those private.
Because there's gonna be, some of them, you're gonna have a lot.
I think people are gonna find that possibly they wanna go with a larger bin and possibly share those types of things if they're not wanting to take as many bins to the end of their road. So we'll see how they wanna operate, and I think they'll.
Alan, did that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay.
But initially, the only point is initially it is going to your home.
So,
The other thing I think you want to make clear is everything has to be in those bins with the lid closed, correct?
Yes. In the
Nothing on the
bins,
sides.
On the garbage or municipal solid waste, that should be bagged. We want that to be bagged just for cleanliness and such, especially if we're taking them back. On the recycling, it needs to be loose. No bags for the recycling.
Except for shredded paper.
Except for shredded paper, yes.
And that should be a clear bag.
I
so they
read
can
my.
see.
That's correct. And on the lids of recycling bins, we made a poster of what can go into recycling. So it's going to be pretty clear what goes where. But automated pickup means that the driver, it's just a driver, and he doesn't get out of his vehicle. So wherever is in the bin or in the trash can will be picked up. Anything around it will be left behind.
I just want to also stress that there are cameras on these, so please don't put contaminated things in the recycling, because there are cameras, it will be noticed.
That was my next question.
And don't put more than 5 dead animals in your trash.
Thank you.
so Jess, can you take people through the website of where they can find this information?
Sure. Once you go to kennebunkportme.gov, at the top there is a panel that has community, departments, and I believe How Do I. Under departments, we have a whole separate page for solid waste and recycling. So it's we wanted to make it clear, so you don't need to go to Public Works. You want to go to solid waste and recycling. Once you click on that page, everything is right there. So it brings you right to the app that you can download, or you can use it right from the website. It brings you to the maps of the streets. So it says, click here to view your pickup day. You click on it, and it pops up as a PDF. And then on the left side, you will see helpful links panel. That's where you will find FAQs. That's where you will find, I believe, Ecomain, encyclopedia, recyclopedia. Yes, so that will be helpful links just for your general knowledge. But that front page is the most important. That's where we try to put all the information.
And a reminder that Goose Rocks Beach will no longer go to a Saturday pickup. It'll be Friday year-round. And then, do you just want to talk about the public barrels?
So the public barrels are going to be picked up 7 days a week during the summertime.
But we will be going to those carts that you see.
Yes, we are, yes. So, yes, because once again, it's an automated pickup, we'll have to be utilizing carts. So they'll have a lid on them, and so we just ask that things be placed inside those carts.
So we did purchase two containers that look more like a traditional public trash can that have the slots on the side. And supposedly it can be lifted and they're a little more expensive. And so we only bought 2. And we're gonna try them out, and if they work well, we might buy more for the public areas.
We'll be utilizing
But they're
those.
not gonna be the cute little whiskey barrels
Yeah,
anymore.
Until then, we apologize for the aesthetics. Yeah.
All right, well, thank you.
Yeah, and I just wanna say staff has worked very hard on this, and it's been a team effort, and I really appreciate everybody's attention to it.
Just come on up and.
Very good.
Thanks for your time. Catherine McLaughlin, we're in Goose Rocks. What happens to people who are not here on May 8th and 9th? Most of the community where we are is part-time. We're only here in the summer. What do we do with our bins?
Oh, your old bins?
Yeah,
Okay.
where do we?
No, she's asking for pickup, because.
No, I'm asking for the bins. You've
For the new
designated
bins.
2 days for us to return them to the public
Oh,
works.
to return
For the rest of the people, many people aren't here yet.
Yeah.
What do we do?
So we set the days up right after delivery, because we thought there'd be a rush of people who do want to get rid of them. We're not sure how many people are gonna use that. We've been talking internally about another date later on.
Okay.
But we're waiting until, like you said, it's closer to that season when most people are back.
Okay, so in other words, there might be another opportunity to dispose of
Eric?
them? A couple of my neighbors have asked.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure.
So if it's urgent for you to get rid of them, I would recommend just going to the Kennybunk facility. There may be a cost to disposing of them.
To Sea Road.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. 22, authorized quitclaim deed for map and lot 012-003-003A for full payment of back taxes, fees, and interest.
So moved?
Second.
First and second, all in favor? Oh, boy. Other business. David.
The only other business I have is to let folks know that the Affordable Housing Trust has full approval for the 6 affordable units that will be built on Beechwood Ave. They have finalized their contract for the new road that will go in. They're hoping to have a groundbreaking for the select board and other people in May or June. And on May 2nd, if anyone's interested, they're going to have an 80s themed party at the Nonantum.
You're going to have a what?
80s theme.
Oh,
Remember
fest.
the 80s?
Remember the
Alan?
80s,
No,
Alan?
that's a long
Might-
time.
might-
That's
For
a
you,
long
that might
time
be
ago.
old time.
A
might-
big beer party.
I wasn't all together in the 80s. There.
So they're
Like you are now.
Right.
they're going to be having their theme party of an 80s dance party at the Nonantum 7 to 10 on Friday, the 2nd of May, I believe. A great opportunity to support the cause. But yeah, we might be getting 6 new families, affordable
That's great.
homes and families before the end of the year, beginning of next year. So that's good news.
With a bunch of kids?
Bring them on, Alan, more kids.
Mary Beth.
Nothing.
John?
Nothing.
All set?
All set?
So the only thing I have are 2 items. One is the fire recognition event.
Oh, yes.
So that's going to be on May 15th, and I've heard from a couple of people, but if you want to come, let me know so I can RSVP for you.
Is that
I'm out
here?
of town. I'm out of
It's
town.
usually I am too.
It's
Oh,
our
right, yeah,
off
yeah.
Thursday night.
No, I'll, yeah, it's not the Thursday, yeah, I'll go.
Yep.
At least to 1 for now.
Okay. And I also heard from the state, so we were awarded a community action grant to study the flooding in the Kennybunk River. And they're interested in doing a press conference to announce the award winners, and they've asked to do it in Kennebunkport. So I think that we'll be having that, they said, on April 30th. So I'll let you know if I hear more details.
Oh, that sounds great.
Very nice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have we heard anything about Wanby?
So I have not.
Okay.
I haven't, I've heard some positive things through the grapevine. but I have not gotten an official award letter.
Okay. And have we gotten a check from the federal government for the pier?
So I was told it will be processed this month.
It's in the
Well,
mail.
all right, we're down to
We
it.
have
in
a
the
few
mail.
days left.
We have a few days left.
It's in the mail.
It's in the mail. Check is in the
Okay,
mail.
24, approve the April 24th, 2025 treasurer's warrant.
So moved. Second.
First and second, all in favor?
Sheila?
Sheila?
What's
To
that?
adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Thank you, everybody. Have a good evening.
You're gonna miss me.
I am.
You're gonna miss me.